Hello everyone, Darth here, and welcome back again to another overly analytical video essay. My recent video on the fourth wall got me to thinking a little bit more on the topic, and there are so many times in the sequel trilogy where the fourth wall is broken in an attempt to connect with the audience. In The Last Jedi, Rey suddenly being obsessed with who her parents are, that was a direct result of audience expectations influencing the script. How does Finn know that Kylo took Rey directly to Starkiller Base? Because the audience has seen her there, so Finn knows it too. Or what about when Rey first Force Skypes with Kylo? She's not the least bit surprised to find out that he's alive, even though she left him wounded laying on the ground on a planet that she barely escaped before it exploded. Finn, Rose, and Poe never try to second guess how they're being tracked. They know what the audience knows because Hux just said it. Or in Rise of Skywalker, how do the Knights of Ren know that Kylo has switched sides? They know because the audience knows. The problem is that the fourth wall in the sequel trilogy is so porous that the characters seem to act on knowledge they don't actually have. They know things simply because the audience knows, and they act in ways that don't make sense within the context of the scene. Let me explain what I mean by analyzing one of the most iconic scenes ever put on film. Now, contrary to popular opinion, I almost loved how the scene was done. It showed resourcefulness to keep him alive. It was half funny, half disgusting, and it subverted my expectations of Luke, the suave Jedi Master, in a way that wasn't necessarily degrading. Because there's nothing wrong with drinking the milk of other species. There's at least 10 different varieties of milk that humans drink. So why did a majority of fans seem to find this disgusting? The problem with the scene is not the idea, but the context in which the scene was set. We inherently won't like it because everything on the island was designed to be disliked. The scenery is bleak, the terrain harsh, the sea brutal, the buildings decrepit. Luke is broken in every way. He's physically very rough, he's raw emotionally, he's argumentative and spiteful. Even the porgs are awkward and off balance. The filmmakers made sure that everything on the island would give us a sense of unease, a sense that something was off. That is why the milking scene doesn't feel right, because nothing else does either. I think Rian wanted to subvert our expectations of Luke the cool, suave Jedi Master by having him do something semi-gross, but very normal. They wanted this scene to feel normal, and they're confused why many fans are saying they hate it. The problem is you can't insert a normal scene right when you're trying to establish how abnormal a character has become. The entire point of the subplot is that Rey needs to help Luke change his mind, become a Jedi again, and leave the island. Which means we don't want him to do this anymore, or do this anymore, or do this anymore, or do this anymore. Everything he does on the island is supposed to be out of character for him because he has lost sight of who he is. Ryan, we don't want to argue and dislike and be disappointed by every scene you gave us. I mean, we stuck with the franchise through this. And this.
I don't like sand.
And this.
You will not take it from me!
We're obviously willing to accept some pretty low quality writing and acting. But you know why we never argued or disliked or were disappointed by the prequels like we are with the sequels? Because these scenes still made sense in context. Like Anakin floating a pear has been made fun of a lot, it became its own meme. But he's a prodigy teenage boy showing off for a pretty girl. No matter what we may or may not like about the scene makes sense. No matter how awkward Anakin's flirting dialogue may have been written, it makes sense within the scene and for his character. because he's a monk who has no clue how to flirt with girls. Even all of Jar Jar's scenes make perfect sense, considering he's a
Dark Lord of the Sith. All hail Darth Jar Jar.
This doesn't make sense. That reaction was purely for the audience. Luke has been drinking sea cow milk every day for years. He wouldn't have made any reaction to this normal occurrence, just like he didn't grin at Rey when he jumps over the cliff, and he doesn't shout some joke about the bad weather or even mention how he has to climb 20,000 stairs every day, because these are normal events. Just look at the difference. This makes sense in context. This makes sense in context. This makes sense in context. This doesn't make sense in context. Now, like I said, I actually liked the idea of this scene. I love subverting expectations when it's done in a way that is true to the character. This scene would have been perfect if it happened while Luke was training his Padawan students. Maybe they're out exploring a planet, learning about space travel and interacting with new species, and they happen upon a wild creature, and all the kids start making fun of it and saying it's useless and good for nothing, and bam! Luke suddenly throws their packs of food far off into the ocean. All of the kids are dismayed, asking why would he do that? What are they going to eat? Luke calmly walks up to the Siren and fills up his canteen with milk, and says, "I guess if you don't want to starve, you better give it a try." The kids reluctantly all fill up their canteens and try the milk, which was actually almost sweet, and drinking just a little bit was filling and very nourishing. They played around the cliffside for a while, practicing using the Force to throw rocks into the water and laughing at the funny sounds that the Siren made. That day they all learned a valuable lesson about innovation, survival skills, outward appearances, and as they boarded their ship and flew back to the new Jedi Academy, the Padawans all crowded around the viewport and waved goodbye to their new friend, who had given them food for the day and an important lesson that showed how all life is connected. Now, this scene, done in the way I described it, accomplishes the exact same thing that Ryan wanted. It subverts audience expectations of Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. It serves a larger purpose to the story. And it's the perfect mixture of funny and gross to be really memorable. And most importantly, the scene makes sense within the context in which it happened. This scene has no point except audience shock value. My version fits perfectly within the narrative to move the story forward. And my version isn't breaking the fourth wall, making a character act abnormally just to try to make a scene more memorable for the audience. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.